Hello, this is the Tradeline Queen. I wanted to make a video so I can further explain why your trade line may have only reported to one credit bureau and how we can help fix the issue. So I think the first thing to understand is there are two types of trade lines. There are address tied trade lines and social security number tied trade lines, which means some banks go off of your date of birth and social security number. Those would be considered a social security number tied trade line, and then others go off your address, which would be an address tied trade line. So for example, some credit card companies such as Capital One, Bank of America, Discover, and a couple more are considered social security number tied trade lines, which means they ask for your name, date of birth, and social security number in order for them to find you and report. So even if your name is incorrect, as long as your date of birth and social security number match, they will find you and they will report with no problem. More than likely to 3 bureaus, but it can take time. So for example, if you open your own credit card, you will see that it will first report to one bureau in a couple of weeks, and then a couple of weeks after that, the other bureaus will start catching up. But it does take time. And because we only have 60 days for your first term, we want to make sure the credit card companies report to the bureaus as soon as possible. So for social security number tied trade lines, generally will report anywhere from 2 to 14 days after the trade line's reporting date. However, for address merged trade lines, although that time frame still may be the same, sometimes there is a couple of issues that may hinder that process reporting as quickly as possible. And here are a couple of the issues that we may encounter along the way. Things like maiden names. If you're now married and are using your married name when purchasing the trade line, yet the credit bureaus are only reflecting your maiden name, that could hinder the trade line posting correctly. Generally, it's a quick fix of just calling the credit bureau, which has not updated your married name, letting them know, and then you should be good to go. Another issue with address tied trade lines is if you have not added the trade line address correctly and saved it. A lot of times that can be the issue. So if the trade line address is not reflecting on one or two of the credit reports, that means that the address tied trade line has not been picked up by the credit bureaus. So therefore, that would be the reason why the trade line hasn't posted. So to fix that issue, the easiest thing to do would be to take your name, date of birth, social security number, and address of the trade line and sign up for as many new credit monitoring sites as possible using the address for the trade line. And here are some of the examples of credit monitoring sites. If you don't have them, then here's a couple that you can use. Now, I know it can be frustrating. I know it can be a whole pain in the butt. But that is the quickest way for the credit bureaus to pick up the new trade line address and report to your credit report, so the trade line will pop up and do its job. It is imperative that your names, your maiden names, you're also known as, matches on all 3 credit bureaus. If it doesn't match on 1 or 2, then you are subject for it to not show up on 1 credit report or 2. So please make sure before you purchase address tied trade line to make sure all the information matches across all 3 credit bureaus. Additionally, anyone that has a senior or a junior, I would suggest leaving that out and just putting your first and last name when purchasing the trade line, as it does make it a lot easier for the credit bureaus to pick it up. So I hope now you have a better understanding on how to help your trade line report to all 3 bureaus. Now, I know it can be a little bit of a hassle to get it to report to certain bureaus, but if you are really needing that trade line to show up on, for example, TransUnion, then it may be worth your while to go through the instructions that I just went through. Of course, there are certain banks that don't necessarily require an address merge. Those include American Express, Elan Bank, Discover. Some Chase cards don't require it, Navy Federal Credit Union, and PenFed. There may be a couple of more, but those are the ones off the top of my head that I know do not require an address merge. So if you did not want to go through what I just explained, then you may want to opt to get one of those trade lines instead. But thank you for listening, and I hope to speak to you soon. By all means, reach out to me at theTradelineQueen.com. You can see a list of my available trade lines there. Join my Facebook group, which you can navigate to the Facebook icon on my website, or send me an email. I'm always happy to help you answer questions that you may have. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.